from the start. I'm chasing the rainbow through the rain. I know it's gonna be a beautiful day.
Have you ever wondered if your deepest pain could actually lead to a purpose? Can the heartbreaks and struggles we face truly be transformed into something meaningful and useful? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee Conversations of Friends of Faith to Encourage and Equip. I'm Kim Crabill, your host. So delighted to be with you today. Years ago, I felt a compelling call from God to bring my burdens and heartaches to Him, trusting that He could do something unimaginable with them. Responding to the invitation of Matthew 11:28, I soon found refuge in this promise, in my brokenness. I said yes to discovering whatever God had in store for me. Through that journey, a curriculum developed that became my first book. It's named Burdens to Blessings, Discovering the Power of Your Story. And it has unbelievably helped hundreds and thousands around the nation to uncover the truths that God promises that are just waiting to be discovered lying beneath each of our pains. Today, I have the privilege of welcoming others who have walked transformational path, and together I want them to share some of the testimonies, some of the things that they saw in a day retreat that we had called Burdens to Blessings. Just a few, I guess it's been a few months ago now, in a place in West Virginia. Two of the ladies that helped, that were integral parts in that, I want to bring them on, Ann Merkel and JoLynn Sullivan, to share with you what Burdens to Blessings is about through their eyes and what they experienced. So welcome to the show, Ann and JoLynn. I'm so delighted to have you. So Burdens to Blessings, you know, it's my heart. God has graciously allowed me to write a few books, but this was my first. And this is the book that really just, it is my transformational journey that God led me through when I have had what I call my spiritual breakdown. It was just, I just came to a place in my life where I didn't know where else to go. And I feel like that was probably the best day of my life because that's where God met me and showed me this unbelievable path. I'm so thankful that I began to journal it because then He was able to put it into this curriculum that I love to travel around the world and share with people because it is a biblical path. It's not Kim's path, it's a biblical path. So you all have experienced it, and you've experienced it twice.
Yes.
So let's talk about your first time and then what happened. And then JoLynn experienced it this last time. So let's begin with you, with your first experience. What would you came to Burdens of Blessings, probably not understanding really what it was. How would you describe it when you walked away?
Well, it was an amazing experience. I didn't know what to expect, but I was excited because it was close to home and I could be there with my friends. And I just saw so many women let go of burdens that they had. And you don't realize that everybody around you has something that they've been holding on to, something that has been eating at them for so many years. And on this day, the tears that were cried were happy tears because they felt a relief. And one thing I really took away from it was this Burdens to Blessings retreat has something for every single woman. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter how long you've had your burden. And I loved it when there were teenagers there and there were college age students there. And when I thought about having the retreat at our church, that was the thing I kept telling everybody. There is something there for every person. And I loved when we wrote on the hearts and people could share, and it just brought us all together on that day. So it was just something I wanted everybody to be able to experience.
And you took over the coordinator, being the director. People like to call it different things, but you coordinated that. Once you went through it you said, hey, I want to do this again. And so you created another event where we came back and had such a spectacular day. We take 8 weeks and we put it into a day, which we're able to do. And then people normally will do the 8 weeks. And JoLynn, that's where you heard about it and you came in the second time. So what had you heard about it, JoLynn, that made you think, I just have to be a part of this?
Well, Anne was just so excited, first of all, and her excitement spilled over into everyone that was there. And I think the main thing that she kept reiterating is how you felt God's presence there and how his spirit just came out with everybody that was there, and in so many different ways. The thing that I think I felt more than anything was how we are not alone. Even though God's with us all the time, we have these sisters that we don't take advantage of. And I think that was my biggest takeaway is, wow, I didn't realize that so and so had this going on or so and so had that going on. And it's the same thing you're experiencing. So you became even closer with the 80 people we had there. It felt like one unit, and it was just so incredible. And Kim, we just are so blessed that you've been able to do this for us. So I just pray that everybody will get to experience it, because it was just such a wonderful time, just incredible.
Well, thank you so much. I hope to come back annually. That I would fallen in love with that place, and I feel like that, and I do that in a lot of places. I'll go once, and I go, you have to come back, and it becomes an annual event because people start realizing, oh my gosh, I should have been there, or they want to bring someone else, and that's how we grow to be statewide. But thank you for saying that. I love being there, and I agree. Every woman has important things to say. It's just that most of the time it isn't packaged the way we want it to be packaged. We want it to be pretty and perfect, and we want it to smell good and look good. And so much of what we have to say comes out in hurts and brokenness and disappointments. And we don't understand that that is really what connects us as women. We can talk about the pretty and the perfect all day long, and I'm just going to be like, no, la, 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 la. It's like, I've heard all that. I see all that, but when someone starts sharing their hurt and how they were able to walk through it or how they are walking through it, boy, that's where we lean in as women, because we connect on that level. And we see that from the very beginning, don't we, Anne?
Yes, we do. And a lot of the women also talked about how you made them feel so comfortable. You were sharing your stories. And I really believe that the way you present yourself, your excitement, your love of God, and how he's, helped you through, that so many women are able to share. Otherwise, I don't think they would be. But, your presence there and all that you do and God has equipped you with has really just changed so many lives.
Oh, well, thank you. That's the goal. It's like the Samaritan woman. I want to run back into every community saying, come see a man. I don't want it to be, I share my story, and thank you for saying that, Anne, because sometimes I think, oh, are people tired of hearing this story? But I share my story, as the old saying goes, to give God the glory, because we all have such a fabulous story. Again, it just doesn't look fabulous through the secular lens. But when we look at it through God's promises and what he's gotten us through, then it becomes so empowering to other women. And that's what I love. I love sharing enough of my story that people go, she's real. She knows what it's like. God came through for her, and he will come through for me. JoLynn, were you surprised when we were talking about, and to our audience, there is a way that we share our burdens in a very safe way that no one knows which hurt or which burden is ours. You just have to come to see how that happens. But JoLynn, were you surprised because you knew a lot of these women? I know they were from many churches, but when we began to read the burdens, not knowing who they belong to, were you surprised at the depth of the pain that was in
And I
that?
kept thinking was, that could be me. Oh my gosh, that's mine. Oh, there I am again. And it
Yes.
wasn't what I had written down, but just seeing how raw people were. And I mean, I think that's what God likes when we get down and dirty. I hate to use that expression, but
Oh.
when you're so raw with your emotions and you're so open, and I mean, just, I couldn't believe it. But honestly, I could have.
Oops, JoLynn, we lost you there for just a minute. I'm not sure. Our producer will be in there to help you a little
There I
bit.
am.
There
I
you
could
are.
have had 10 dozen of those burdens that pass down. So you, and not that mine isn't that important, but seeing that other people have so much more depth behind theirs, you think mine's so much easier to carry and mine's so much easier to deal with now, knowing that I can then talk to someone else about theirs because of what they had been through and what I had been through. I was just so emotional. I'm emotional anyway, so I'm a wreck anyway. So you can just go from there. But I just couldn't believe the people, how they opened up, and just, it was just incredible. And like I said, it was such a spirit filled day. I mean, from the get go, the Lord just was right there with us and jumping on everybody. And just, it was just amazing, just amazing.
And that is because of, we came prayed up for sure, but you all, I know Ann had created such a prayer environment. And JoLynn, you had been working on gifts for everybody for so long, those beautiful bags that you had painted. There was so much love in the that had created it, and that's what you'll find at every Burdens to Blessings. We cover it in so much prayer and so much dedication, and we're working to the last minute to get everyone in. We base the scripture, the first one, Matthew 11:28, where Jesus is talking. He says, "Come to me, all ye who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And audience, what that means is that it is an open invitation to us as women through Jesus to come and give him our burdens, because he says, "If you will, I will do something wonderful with it." And we learn through the Greek what that means. He literally wants to take our pain and give it purpose. And I will tell you, as hard as it is to believe, as impossible as it sounds, and it would be impossible if it were not for God involved in it. We see miracles happen. We see ministries lifted. We see people walk out changed. We see, just like with JoLynn, the reason it was now easier for you to handle yours is because you didn't feel so alone. And one of the secrets that happen, and one of the reasons that we do that first activity, and we do activities all through the day, is because there's one thing that shame must have to survive, and that's secrecy. And so, see, what we do is we break the chain of secrecy. And even though people didn't know who JoLynn's particular burden was, or Ann's particular burden was, it was out of them. It had been removed. And so it was in the light for God to work and for other women to realize that everyone had something in there. And so there's such a bonding that happens in that. So let me ask you all, during the course of the day and the reading of the scripture and the different activities that we did, how did you leave feeling differently, or did you, about the hurts of your past, or the things that that maybe had caused you questions? Any different type of view?
I just felt that I was normal now,
Wow.
and that it was okay to open up and to share. And, I just felt God working in me in a different way than in the first Burdens to Blessings. And it just went a little bit deeper inside to let go. And, just praying with each other, having people to talk to. And like JoLynn said, we're not alone. And that makes all the difference. And I really believe that the group of women we had, we all bonded in some way, even though there may have been some we didn't know. Now we do know them, and they
Yes.
know who we are, and we can reach out to each other. I like to send them a text or, maybe a little email just to remind them, we are here for you, no matter what. So it's just a great feeling. Lifelong friends, I believe, were made that day, with lots of trust involved as well.
Absolutely. JoLynn, how did you leave, or did you leave differently thinking about the different women that maybe you meet in the grocery store, or people that you don't know? Did it make you think any differently about those people, especially when they come across as rude or hateful or mean or, moody, or all those things that we as women can display at times?
We talked a little bit about some stories, and we look at people differently, and we might not lose as much patience, or we might go up and ask to pray with them. We might just out of the blue run into someone and say, how's your day going? And they may be able to share with us. So it does help us to look at others differently wherever we may be, even just driving in the car.
It really does. And I'm reminded of that so many times, because people are in a hurry. Not everyone are believers, and you run into all different types of people. And sometimes it just makes you stop and think, I wonder what their burden is. I wonder what's hurting their heart. I wonder what is going on with them. One of the things that happened on your day retreat, and I'm doing 12 next year. I normally do a lot more. Next year, we have a lot of, with the TV, and I have a book coming out. We're going to do a 12 state or 12 city tour, because I love these. I love what God does during these. One of the things that happened that I don't know that you all are aware of, there was a lady, I had shared about the lady, the professor who had gone 32 years with her secret. And then I had shared that the week before, a lady had said, oh, well, that's nothing. I have a 40-year-old, 40 secret. That's 40 years old. And one of the ladies at your church walked up to me and she goes, oh, that's nothing. Mine, I've been carrying mine for 45 years. Ladies, 45 years, this woman every day had been hurting because of a decision that she had made. 45 years, the enemy had been bullying her, talking down to her. 45 years, and she walked out of that free from that day. Free from that. I know. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I mean, and that's why we do what we do. And doesn't that just make it, and there were so many other things, but that happened that day, but we just don't realize if we pull ourselves together, what God can do.
That's exactly right. And he knew exactly who needed to be there when we started planning this back in August. And, it seemed like it took a little while for people to come on board, but wow, when they started, and I really believed every single woman left that day completely changed and so much better than when she came in. And for that lady, for all of those years, what a release it was that day for her. Glory to God for that happening that day. So it was so exciting. It was just an amazing day for things that happened.
Well, God truly does keep his word. When he says that he come to me, I can do this, he means that, and he can, and he will. And so, Anne, I just want to thank you so much for saying yes. I know you have taught the study. I just thank you so much for, the diligence, the prayer, the planning. JoLynn, you're back. Can we hear you?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Praise God. I knew he'd come through.
Yes. So tell us anything, like how you left seeing people differently.
Well, I was gonna say, not only did I feel changed, but I feel so accepted. That was the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize when you come, how sharing what you share and having everybody else say, okay, that you just have this burden lifted off of you. Sorry to use your phrase, but
No.
I just felt so relief. And so, but having been through this and seeing all these people that you've known all your, since I've gone to church there, and knowing that they have the burdens they have, when you do see someone who's having a bad day, you take a little bit of extra time. When you see someone who's driving and maybe, you don't scream and yell at them like I used to. I just think, okay, we need to pray for them. We need to, so it changes your perspective on how you see people, which I
Yes.
think is such a blessing to us because we don't do that enough. I think we constantly are blaming everybody else for everything that goes on instead of trying to help them deal with what they're dealing with. And none of us know.
Right.
But having seen that day, it makes you feel totally different towards humanity, which is
Yeah.
such a blessing.
Absolutely. It's almost like we take on the eyes of Christ and we see beyond the behavior to what could be their burden. And I think that softens us. And I think that one of the crucial points in the burdens of blessings is when we get to the part, and audience, you have to come to find out what this is. But when we work with that doily and we realize that we're not going to be here forever, and God has given us opportunities to do with the lifespan that we have, and we can take advantage of that and make the most of those opportunities like he instructs us to in the book, or we can keep procrastinating and hoping and that one day we'll get around to it. I think that is an eye-opener of like, wow, today is the day to do what God would have us to do. Any other comments on that, Doily, or any other thing that we did that you remember that really spoke to you?
I just wish my doily had more thingies on it, more time. I loved it though, because now when I see a doily sitting out, I don't think of it as a doily. I think of it as how much time I have left to do what God put me here to do.
It's become a
And
timeline, hasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved it. And I love that you recognize the people that their doily has been through, because they're the ones we need to look up to and to
Yes.
really learn from, because what experience they have.
Oh,
And as young people,
yes.
because I'm not that young, but as a younger person, you just think, oh my gosh, they have so much they could share with us and they can teach us. And we just need to listen. I think that's what we don't do enough of.
Absolutely. One of the women, or maybe there was just one at yours, but she came up and said, "Oh my gosh, thank you for honoring me." I said, "Every woman in here honored you." And she goes, "Oh my gosh, I will carry that with me forever." And so, it was a little thing for us, but it's always huge. We think things are little, but there's nothing little when we are honoring and taking care of one another. What about anything, any of the visuals, Anne, that will stand out to you?
I just, the heart, when we, wrote our burdens on the hearts, and that we could keep that and continue to pray for
Yeah.
those people. My mom was there, and she is a cancer survivor as of August. And, for her to write the burden on there and to be able to share it was a big thing for her, because she just doesn't do those kinds of things well. And your compassion and love really shone through in her. But I just felt a big connection with her doing that, with the other women that were there, and just being able to hold on to that heart. And I still have that heart and the one from the very first retreat, and they just mean the world to me. Even though I don't know who they belong to, I can still pray for them every day, and hoping that those burdens are gone, and that God is using them in a mighty way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you are still praying for them. Well, it was great. It was a wonderful day. I just, it's just one of my favorite places. I do a lot. I tend to go to the same states a lot, and that's growing, more each year. But there's just something about going and getting a nucleus, and it just, and just watching people gravitate to it. You said something, Anne, that we see all the time, in that the first time you go through it, it's like, okay, gosh, that was great, I learned. The second time you go through it, it's like, oh boy, we went through just deeper. Or you could go through like Jen, who is producing today, like she's been through it. I don't know. Jen, can you pop on for a minute? How many times have you been through it, Jen?
Probably at least I'm going to say 55, but I don't know exactly for
Wow.
sure.
You're blessed.
Yeah, and each time, isn't it different? And don't you feel something different each time?
Every single time. I think I just did it maybe 6 months ago. I did one, and I had this nugget that popped up from childhood that I had never even thought about before. And I was just amazed how it's almost like the curriculum, it doesn't change, and it's so God written, but you can hear it differently just depending on what God wants you to hear.
Yes.
Because you're always in a different place, or you're around different people. And the other, like if you have 100 people or 50 people, whatever you have, all of them are different. And so their burdens are different. It takes you to a different place. And it helps you reveal something about yourself that you didn't know. It helps you give advice that you would have never given, except it's just, I love it. I love seeing women. I love when we first come in and it feels a little uncomfortable because people don't know what's happening, and we're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And then we do the heart, and then all of a sudden the emotional atmosphere warms up, and we become like, I think what you said, JoLynn, like we feel like we're one. We're and you're right, we become friends forever, and it's just the most bonding, godly experience that I've been through, of women truly, truly caring for one another and coming to one another's rescue. So I want to thank you all for hosting it in West Virginia 2 times, and hopefully there'll be a third. We'll see. We can pray on that. But just thank you all. Let's a final word from each of you about anything.
I would just say, if you get the opportunity, please go to the Burdens of Blessing retreat. If someone says they want to go, take them. If they're not sure, pull them along, and they won't regret it. It's the best day that they'll have, and I just encourage you to go wherever one may be.
Thank you, Anne.
And I'll never look at a brown paper bag the same ever, ever, ever. But the thing is, with a brown paper bag, we can put everything in it and come out frilly. And that's what I loved about it, because that's what we're all about, But the blessings that we've gotten that day have just grown and multiplied over and over and over again. We'll never be able to thank you for what you did for us.
Oh, JoLynn, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, this has been an honor having you all. And I seriously, if you can get to Baltimore, come anytime I'm there, we'd love to have you. I still want to get up. JoLynn, you've got to teach me how to paint. You're such a great artist. And the way you pulled that team together and brought those women on board and created a space for us to walk into was nothing short of meeting at Jacob's Well, where Jesus was there to meet us. And I thank you so much. And looking forward to whatever God has in the future. So thank you all so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Love you all.
Love you.
Love you. Love you. Well, audience, thank you so much for joining us for coffee today. Oh, I love talking about burdens and blessings because I know what it can do, because it's the path that God walked me on. Do you have hidden burdens? Are you living in a secret shame? Do you have your past bullying you? Boy, there's an answer. Jesus says, come to me, all ye who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Rest means reversal. He wants to reverse the burden and not only bless you, but make you a blessing to all those around you. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Well, I will use Jesus's words to answer that. He says, with man, it is impossible, but with him, all things are possible. So if you hear this and you'd like to know more about Burdens of Blessings, you can always order the book on Amazon, but there's something deeper. It's the conferences and the retreats. So let me know. I'd love to come to your area. Maybe I could even have a couple of these ladies come with me. The main thing is that we'll meet and we'll talk and we'll see what God has to say to each and every one of us. Love you all so much. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everybody.